So thank you to Technical Sergeant Krause and Chaplain Peck, and also to Sergeant Perella for that outstanding welcome to this event. At this time, I would ask all of you to direct your attention to the table adjacent to the stage. It is our POW MIA stage. The table before you is a place of honor. It is set for one. This table is our way of symbolizing the fact that members of our profession of arms are missing from our midst. They're commonly called POWs or MIAs. We call them brothers. They're unable to be with us this evening, and so we remember them. This table set for one is small, symbolizing the frailty of one prisoner alone against his oppressors. Remember. The tablecloth is white, symbolizing the purity of their intentions to respond to their country's call to arms. Remember. The single red rose displayed in a vase reminds us of the families and loved ones of our comrades in arms who keep the faith awaiting their return. Remember. The red ribbon tied so prominently on the vase is reminiscent of the red ribbon worn upon the lapel and breasts of thousands who bear witness to their unyielding determination to demand a proper accounting of our missing. Remember. The candle is lit, symbolizing the upward reach of their unconquerable spirit. Remember. A slice of lemon is on the bread plate to remind us of their bitter fate. Remember. There is salt upon the bread plate, symbolic of the family's tears as they wait. Remember. The glass is inverted. They cannot toast with us this day. Remember. The chair is empty. They are not here. Remember. Remember, all of you who served with them and called them comrades, who depended upon them, their might and aid, and relied upon them, for surely they have not forsaken you. Remember. Remember until the day they come home. Remember. And on this day, we'd also like to acknowledge our cancer warriors who could not be here today. I ask that we please take a moment of silence to acknowledge our POWs, our MIAs, and all of our cancer warriors. Thank you. All right. So I am your keynote speaker today. We tried to get Shannon Miller, but I'm better looking. So not really. So we decided to go for me. So that's what you got. First, I want to say thank you to Matt and Karen for asking me to speak at this year's event. For those of you that don't know, my wife Judy was a patient of Karen's. I would sit with her during chemo and watch these ladies undergo their own battle. They were truly inspiring to me. Matt and Karen were telling me how they would do a survivor dinner every year. Here at the base, we do all kinds of things to help with relationships downtown, and I thought, why not do something here? I ran the idea past them, we put our heads together, and Warriors for Warriors was born. I feel like it's important that everybody know that Matt and Karen only agreed on the condition that the event recognized the courage and heroism of both cancer patients and our airmen. Thank you. We've always tried to make certain that courage and survivorship are the dominant themes when we talk about Warriors for Warriors. I have to make an exception this year. On May 24th, my beautiful wife Judy passed away. She was 45 years old. She's not the first nor the last woman to die from cancer, but just because she died, I don't believe it means she's lost. I'll share with you why in a few moments. For those that don't know, cancer and cancer treatment are not exactly pleasant. Chemotherapy is difficult on the body. It affects a person's mind, depletes them of their energy. In some ways, it truly changes them. I know for Judy this was true. I went with Judy to every single one of her chemo treatments. The courage and stamina to withstand the marathon that is cancer treatment is substantial. I saw the same group of people week after week displaying the fortitude and stamina necessary to fight this evil thing that had invaded their lives. They helped serve as my inspiration and reveal to all of us the true nature of a warrior. In the video from last year, I stated that courage was doing the thing that needs to be done, regardless of the odds of the outcome. My Judy showed true courage. I will tell you that without her inspiration, perseverance, love, and persistence, Warriors for Warriors would not have taken shape. In the Air Force, we often talk about courage. We have members that have worn our uniform who serve as examples of what courage is truly about. Earlier this week, President Trump awarded the Medal of Honor to the family of Technical Sergeant John Chapman. This man serves as an example of what courage and heroism look like to us in uniform. Technical Sergeant Chapman was a combat controller. Combat controllers often serve with other special operations forces from the Army and Navy, calling in close air support and airstrikes to keep their comrades safe and take the fight to the enemy. You don't hear about them because they are small in number and they take pride in being quiet professionals. They're very specialized airmen. They're required to be in top physical shape, but also to be very mentally sharp and resilient. The qualification course to become a combat controller is incredibly difficult, and the training pipeline is very long. Imagine being an air traffic controller, but with bombs going off around you and rifle fire landing close to you. Oh, and to get to work, you might have to skydive into the office, you might have to swim 10 miles or hike 25 miles. These guys truly are American badasses. In 2002, Sergeant Chapman was involved in what is known as the Battle of Roberts Ridge in Afghanistan. The aircraft he was in sustained a hit from enemy fire, and a member of his team was ejected from the helicopter. He and other team members volunteered to return to the ridge to save their wounded teammate. During the battle, Sergeant Chapman selflessly stormed and neutralized a machine gun position, saving lives in the process. He successfully seized the bunker the gun was nested in and killed all the enemy combatants. He stormed a second position and was wounded. He fought anyway. It was during this part of the engagement that Sergeant Chapman sustained what were thought to be mortal wounds. His actions directly led to the survival of his team. While it was thought he was dead, drone footage uncovered later showed he was not. After regaining consciousness, he engaged the enemy again. This time, his wounds would prove to be fatal, but not before he provided to all of us an example of how warriors don't quit, not while they can still fight, and we sacrifice for our own. Sergeant Chapman epitomizes a warrior spirit, a never-say-die way of life. His occupation was hazardous. He had to know each time he moved away from cover to engage the enemy that his life was in a precarious position. Knowing that didn't stop him. He chose to engage anyway. He is a picture of courage. My other hero is Judy. I learned a lot from my wife in her battle. For one, I learned what it's like to live for the now. Living for the now doesn't mean not paying your bills. What it means is to grab onto opportunity and make the most of it. Our lives are rarely defined by the great uproarious battles we so often see in the movies. They're often defined by the quiet ones, the ones fought when no one's watching. For Judy, she fought every second of her battle. She always told us she loved us. She always smiled for the people she cared about. Too often we get caught up in things that don't really matter. I know I'm guilty of that. Work can be consuming, and success or failure there can seem to be an all-encompassing labor with little gratitude and much exhaustion. It's not that my work doesn't matter, but Judy loved me regardless of what I did at work. She also showed me what fighting really looks like. She once said, "Not trying is not an option. You have to wake up and have that courage." Think about those words. You have to wake up and have that courage. See, she didn't see fighting as an option. She saw it as a necessity, a have to. Quitting as the easy part, the part that takes the least amount of effort. She understood that her fight was going to be hard. It was going to be the hardest thing she'd ever done, and she did it anyway. One of the definitions of life is the animate existence or period of animate existence of an individual. It speaks strictly to us existing. Judy showed me about living. Living isn't defined by the beats of your heart. Living is defined by the ferociousness of the Spirit. There are people walking around this planet every day who are in perfect health, but they're failing to live. In this way, I'm so grateful that I got to accompany Judy on her cancer journey. What I saw her endure and how I saw her endure it will be forever etched in my mind. I will never not live again because she sacrificed herself to show me about living. None of us are promised a damn thing. So don't pass out the opportunities for greatness and love that are presented to us. Don't allow those moments of definition, the ones that say, hey, here's your chance, to pass without grabbing onto the moment with both hands and holding on for the ride. Courage and survivorship. Those two themes exist because of people like Technical Sergeant John Chapman and Judy Norman. Two warriors who served as examples to us, examples we should try to emulate. Those are the types of people we should try to ensure would be proud of how we live, how we love, and how we fight. It's in this spirit that Warriors for Warriors exists. This is our second event. We use this event as a recognition tool, recognizing similarities between the challenges our military members face when dealing with matters of life and death and the challenges cancer patients face when dealing with the same topics. To the people in this room, look around you. If you want a chance to make an impact on someone, here's one. The women undergoing treatment are our spouses, our friends, our mothers, grandmothers, sisters, and aunts. Cancer doesn't discriminate. Sometimes these women have to go to treatment by themselves. Their family members and friends have difficult choices to make. For many, if they miss work that day, it means a bill doesn't get paid. You can make a difference. You can step in and fill a void. On the United to Cure Cancer website, there's going to be a method where you can sign up to help. Maybe you give someone a ride to treatment. Maybe you sit with them during treatment. Hell, maybe you take them to a pedicure. I could use a pedicure. The point is, some of these folks could really use some help. I ask that you try to find one other day out of the year, just one, that you can help out one of these families. For the patients in the room, the airmen you're sitting amongst are some of the finest citizens our nation has to offer. They are your sons and daughters. They are the protectors of all of our freedoms. They stand prepared and resilient for you. I believe they are Americans of the highest class. They are men and women you can be incredibly proud of. All of us are part of a struggle, but we can rely on each other to help in whatever struggle is presented to each of us. Reach out to any charitable organization and see how you can help someone in need. If you're sick, perhaps you can ask for some assistance. I know there's no shortage of people with big hearts and a little time that wouldn't mind throwing their hat into the ring and providing whatever help they can. So, this is how all of us can come together to support each other, helping when things are difficult, laughing when it's important, and loving when presented a chance. We can lift each other up and make things that feel insurmountable seem a little more manageable. And we can inspire each other to be great. Thank you.
Courage.
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 What is courage?
Courage to me is going through what I'm going through, being diagnosed with something that you are terrified of. I think it's, moving on past that, seeing the bright side, seeing the good things, positive things that could happen with this diagnosis, helping other people.
Courage has a lot to do with endurance. You decide what your values are, you decide what those values need to manifest in the life that you live, and you just endure and go through, and you keep those values in front of you as you move forward.
Courage to me is what I have used as my guide from the time I was small. And it's the courage to keep showing up and do the best I can. part of that courage became, let me see how wonderful and perfect and high achieving and controlling of my life experience it can be. And in the face of a lot of adversity, that served me to be that person who could sort of take charge and get through by being super tough and awesome. And with my cancer journey, I recognized that that was not going to serve me to be courageous that way. That the real courage for me was to surrender to the process, to surrender to the journey, and not try and control it.
What is courage?
An example of courage would be my older brother. He had post-meningococcal acute renal failure, and at the time he's a TAC B. He's an extremely strong person, but he had to go on chemo, and I remember walking into the room and sitting with him while he went through his chemotherapy. I remember him being pretty much huddled up, and just it looked like the chemicals were destroying him. But I know that he needed them, and I knew that he needed me to be strong for him. That's still one of the hardest times in my life, and I know it's one of the hardest times in his life.
Somebody said, they're like, you're so brave because you're going through this. You're going through this battle with cancer. And I was like, well, I either choose to live or to not live. And I'm going to, you know, I think my best days are ahead of me. And it takes some time to get to that place. But it's the same thing like what these soldiers go through. I can't even imagine. And if they have the courage to do that, and to go out there, and it's a different kind of fight, but if they have the courage to do that, and know, you don't know what the outcome is going to be, but I tell myself that your best days are ahead of you.